I've been told by the fans that Jungle is a really good place to get started. It's a catchy song that I'm really proud of the songwriting. But I think it also sheds light on like the what you're gonna get from like the messaging and the lyrics that I think makes us unique.
This is Rob Ruckus.
Hey, this is Kate Clover.
Hey guys, it's Nick Collins here from The Effect and Better Strangers.
Hi, my name is Madeline Rose.
Hey, it's Ben McKelvey.
It's Tim Howard here from Mike and the Mechanics.
Hello, I'm Amanda Lehman.
I'm Billy Harvey.
What's going on, everybody? I'm Casey Sampson from the band Twist Stop.
Hey, it's Tony from Fastball.
Hello, everybody. My name is Isaiah Mitchell.
Hey guys, it's Matt here from the White Lakes.
You're listening to Almost Famous Magazine.
Come join us for this interview. Check it out, Almost Famous Magazine.
Hey everyone, welcome back to The Hang right here on Almost Famous Magazine. Thank you everybody who keep coming back for these amazing hangs, for your support by subscribing, ringing the bell so you know when we drop new episodes, and sharing this with your friends. It's really appreciated. We're growing rapidly and we know that you're behind that, so thank you so much. Today, we've got a hang with Charlie Kerr. Now, you may or may not know him. He's had like different iterations of his band, so we're going to learn some history today. But he's the lead vocalist for the formerly Vancouver-based Hotel Mira, but they're now based out of LA. So we're going to learn about that transition as well. They're an alternative rock band, and I look forward to learning their history and sharing it with you and what's in store for their upcoming North American tour. So, Charlie, welcome to The Hang.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Absolutely. I'm excited to learn about you. Here's what we do. We go back in the Wayback Time Machine to how did this all happen, right? And it happened when either you discovered music or music discovered you. What is your origin story that got you to where you are today?
So I'm the youngest of three boys. And I had a really strange childhood, like pretty I guess punctuated or affected by a divorce. So I was traveling back and forth from Maui in Hawaii to Vancouver to sort of joint custody of my parents. And I guess I was always just really, really sensitive. And my brothers took to sports and school, and they were really intelligent. And I didn't really have a thing of my own. I mostly, I think, just sulked. I think I was mostly just, just hanging on by a thread. And then when I would, not that you need to have a passion at 8 or 7 years old or whatever, but I approached my dad out of nowhere. I truly don't know what inspired me to do it, but I approached my dad out of nowhere and said, I want to learn how to play guitar. I want to do music. And he bought me an acoustic guitar and put me into lessons the next day. And my guitar teacher, Al, was so patient and cool and kind, and really taught me things about music and sort of making art in general that I value to this day, just like valuing good songwriting and playing live, and everything else is going to fall into place if you can do those things, was sort of what he taught me. And so I'm 10 years old. I'm super into music. I'm very bad at it. Not that you have to be good, but I am a slow learner. And but I guess my passion for music ignites the other neighborhood kids to want to make music too. So all of a sudden I'm in a 5-person band, where I'm the youngest member at 10. My brother's the eldest member at 12 on the drums. And my guitar teacher goes, we will let you open for our band, because my guitar teacher had a band that toured and did their thing in Vancouver, and we're just professionals and had done the thing, and they were like, we're gonna do this Beatles tribute night, and you guys can open if you can learn these like 3 Beatles songs. And he coached us through it. It was a lot like School of Rock. And yeah, so at 11 years old, I got to play at like a 300-person sold out show at a bar, and be sort of like escorted in and out of backstage, because it was against the law for us to be there technically. And we played Get Back, Hard Day's Night, and Twist and Shout, so like perfect songs for little kids to play. And then we got encored, and the only other song we knew how to do was Hardest Button to Button by the White Stripes. So we did that as well. And I think there was something about people telling me afterwards that I was good at something, or I had a future at something. And that was sort of all I needed to hear. Then it was just off to the races. Okay, and music just sort of gave my life structure. I had goals all of a sudden. I had a framework, and then at the center of it, I had like the most pure love for this thing that got me through so much pain and confusion. And then, so I'm making music as a teenager, and I'm lucky enough to be in this scene of other really cool local indie rock bands, and we're sort of the redheaded stepchild. Like, I was a pretty bad singer, but I wanted to be a singer, so I stuck with it. And I had friends that were incredibly talented and experimental, and I don't want to sort of like omit what was going on. Like, a lot of us were on drugs and going through it, and mentally ill, and so it's this bittersweet thing where a lot of those kids didn't really make it out, and I'm just so grateful to have been part of a creative community that really, really inspired me. But so I was just happy to be throwing shows and hopefully maybe getting the kudos from other kids that I looked up to, sort of in a local scene. And then things just sort of took off, and as a teenager there was interest in signing to a record label, and we did that. And me and the neighborhood kids who sort of wanted to take it more seriously, like, we weren't particularly what definitely brought us together was I think bravado and maybe delusion, of just like, to the point where when we all of a sudden we're touring Europe, opening for the Heavy, and getting written up in the magazines that I read as a kid, and just doing a lot of bucket list kind of stuff. And and then that was sort of over as quickly as it started, and we had sort of 3 records to show for it. And I think what made things fall apart so quickly is like, I guess maybe we didn't know how lucky we were to have found success. I think a lot of people just don't know the realities of how hard maybe touring is, or how hard what you give up is, if you're married, if you're, like the separation, like you really have to be kind of pretty freaky with your priorities to like to commit to this thing whole hog. And then so then everything sort of fell apart, and I said to myself, I still want to make music. And then I came out with what I wanted to do with Hotel Mira, and I sort of called up my friends in the music community that I sort of always respected, and I sort of told them about the vision, and they were on board. And the first thing we made sort of really tanked. Like nobody liked it or bought it or was into it, and I was really, really scared. I think at that point I sort of was really frightened that I had nothing to offer without my bandmates, that they were the secret sauce and I was along for the ride. So that was really scary. I remember being pretty broken up and existential about that. Just thinking the whole thing was a lie, because obviously I wasn't that great a singer, and then the first thing I'd made without them like was not well received. So that was terrifying. But working with that producer on the album that wasn't well received, EP actually, it was only 6 songs. He taught me so much about songwriting, and he rode me so hard about what I was capable of, that even though it didn't go well at all, I had this optimism and this drive that like, now I really think I can do it. And sort of from the songwriting lessons he'd kind of given me through producing, I started writing this record that ended up being called Perfectionism, that kind of put me on the map as a musician harder than anything I'd done before. And then Perfectionism comes out February 14th, 2020. So about a week into what was going to be the biggest year of my career, everything shuts down, and I remember being strangely like zen about the whole thing. I was like, well, at least the album came out and we got to play a couple shows, and at least I've dedicated my life to the thing I love. If there's not going to be live music anymore, I'm happy that I got to do it. And then as the lockdowns went on, I realized how much I'd taken live music for granted, and how because it was always the framework of my life, because it was always like so special, or not special, constant in my life, I didn't sort of clock how special it was. And then I made I talked to a friend who really liked the Perfectionism album, who was in the music industry, and she said, why aren't you on TikTok? And I went, because I have nothing to offer. Like, I'm happy for all these people dancing around and making careers as musicians on here, but it's not for me. And she said, get over yourself. That's like where music's happening. And so I was like, okay, whatever. And I had just done a sitcom as an actor in Canada. So I was sort of like, and I'd written like comedy plays and screenplays and done some acting already. And this like impulse and drive to like be funny and write sketches and stuff was still like really present in my life. So I made some sketches, and then someone sort of mentioned that one of the songs had the potential to maybe be a trend on TikTok. So I took their advice and made a video, and that blew up. And I found out we had this whole audience that I had no idea existed. And then that sort of multiplied. And then all of a sudden we come back from these lockdowns and start playing shows again. And we do a headline tour of America, and there's all these new fans that know every single word, and you know, for some of my bandmates, like they'd never played LA, they'd never played New York, and all of a sudden it's the Troubadour and it's the Mercury Lounge, and you know, through my sort of crying and jerking off music, they have this like once in a lifetime experience, and that made me so happy, because when everything was tanking, I was so scared that they had hitched their horse to a defective wagon, because I really said from the outset, like, please trust me. I think these songs are cool. I think I know what I'm doing with them, but like, there will be a humility in terms of how you guys are going to have to play and serve the songs. And luckily, I just have the best and sort of most considerate and kind and professional bandmates one could hope to ask for. So when everything was tanking, they were still okay to let me lead. And I think that I'm a little bit speechless when I think about how much of a beautiful sacrifice that is, when sort of there's a thing you can do in music when you're playing in a project that's not really working, where you can get up on stage and have like a sick solo or busy your parts up to be like, okay, I'm playing in this shitty band that's going nowhere, but I look cool at least. And they sort of had to do the opposite. They had to let me lead and gyrate and be vulnerable and go through this whole myriad of emotions to these like semicircles of 12 people for a very long time, and yeah, and it's just been sort of a rad positive trajectory that is just continuing. Now we're on our sort of third full-length record called Pity Party, and basically after our first headline tour of the States, this Hotel Mira, you know, I just looked at the visas and what they cost, and to rush the visas, we ended up sort of beginning our tour in this crazy amount of debt because of how expensive it is to rush visas for 5 people in Canada. So I crunched the numbers, and I was like, okay, well, if I move to LA, which I want to do anyway, because it's good for my career as an actor and as a musician, well, then we'll be able to tour America as much as we want to. And that sort of leads us to today, where we just announced a headline tour of North America that is 26 dates, and yeah. I think those are sort of the cliff notes.
That's a lot of ground. Yeah, that's a lot of ground. I think the thing that I take out of it is that you have something within you that others were willing to put their faith and belief into to find group success without egos and personalities kind of harming that experience that could have been detrimental to the individual, but the whole mattered more, is kind of how I hear it.
I think that rings the truest for me. Like I love working myself to the bone. I love doing what I can to make everything happen and create opportunities and stuff. But and as much as I'm the face of the thing and I do a lot of things to lead it, I think it's so important that it's a band, and that I say with any chance I get that Clark, Cole, and Mike are, I think, just the engine of like why I get to be creative and confident in my approach at all. Because I know that if I have a strange idea, they'll find their way around it because they're so strong technically.
Well, I think that's great. I mean, it speaks to it definitely speaks to who the group is for sure, and I'm sure that it translates into the music. So I'm curious, for someone who hasn't experienced Hotel Mira before, and you've got this tour coming up, and we want to get them interested and excited about your music. Kind of describe the sound and what your music is about so that someone can say, wait a minute, I want to latch onto that.
Yeah. I think me and Mikey are super, super inspired by the sort of garage rock revival of like 2001 to 2004 or 2001 to 2010, like bands in New York in particular. So the Yeah Yeah Yeahs, Interpol, TV on the radio, that whole movement. People say that my voice reminds them of Brandon Flowers, so we get a lot of Killers comparisons. But then I think the actual show and aspects of the thing, because I grew up sort of doing punk rock, I think that some people sort of are like, yeah, but there's something sort of emo adjacent or like closer to the theatricality of like an MCR or whatever. And then, but then also you can sort of just say so much of what we do is just rooted in sort of taking cues from the Smiths and the Cure and the Talking Heads and Bowie and that whole time period. I think basically if you like catchy music with lyrics that make you think, and I think we're sort of the band for you. And I also like the more this thing goes on, I sort of I'm understanding that like the purpose of the band is for me to shed light on my shame and insecurities, to hopefully lessen the shame and insecurities of others. And so much of what we do is rooted in, I think, how much I love people and I'm rooting for them in a cruel world.
No, I like that theme. I mean, that's a great place to write from. Let me ask you this. Mm-hmm. If I've never heard your music before, right?
Yeah.
And I decided with what you've told me so far that I want to latch on to this. Mm-hmm. And you've got a somewhat recent album out, and you've got a couple others. Regardless of the singles, okay? Mm-hmm. what song, one or two songs, would someone who's not heard you before, one or two songs should they hear that you feel best give them the true essence of who the band and who you are, so that they go, wait a minute, I've had the appetizer and I want the whole meal?
I've been told by the fans that Jungle is a really good place to get started. It's a catchy song that I'm really proud of the songwriting. But I think it also sheds light on like the what you're going to get from like the messaging and the lyrics that I think makes us unique. And then Speaking Off the Record is the most, I think, capital P personal song I'd ever written, and I had no intention of it being something that connected on a wide scale. I really thought it was going to be like three people's favorite song, because it has no real like discernible chorus, but it's totally become one of our biggest songs and something that people really are able to get a lot from and relate to, which is such a privilege and cool thing, to be rewarded for my self-expression and to feel more like I'm part of the human experience, because really I just sort of like laid out my thoughts about, I think, being an entertainer in the first place, and a bit of like my origin story of like kind of how I got here. And people from all walks of life seem to be able to get something from it, which just as an artist, you can't really ask for anything more than when you do this, people cheer.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I think that's a great place for people to start. Let's translate that onto what people can expect from you as a live band. You've had a few tours, good sized headlining tours, to really kind of cut your teeth as a band, get into that place where kind of the cogs are grasping one another in the wheel, and you're hitting it on all cylinders. What are some things that, if I'm going to buy a ticket to come see you, what are some of the things that make that experience special for me?
I think you're going to be seeing a band that like definitely has its 10,000 hours. Like, we're all lifers of this thing. So playing live is what we do best. It's what we like the most. For me personally, writing songs and playing live is the only thing I like about music. And everything else I sort of like tolerate and think the juice is worth the squeeze. That's how much I love writing and playing live, that the rest of it feels worth it. So I think live, we're trying to make everybody connect to something, like, and just get you in on this experience and be present in something and connect on something that like no other medium really achieves. I want everybody to feel seen and heard and felt like on some level I'm the focal point of it. But we have the coolest fans in the world. Like, we have these people coming from all walks of life that have all been through all sorts of different stuff, and they're showing up and giving their energy to the band, and we try to give it right back. I know that doesn't sound like much of a sales pitch, because that might
let me ask
every band, but yeah.
Well, let me ask you this question. there are moments when the world washes away and everything is right.
Yeah.
Have you had in your performances with the band that moment where you're just like, with all that happened before that, with all of the emotional trials and tribulations of that first album, all that stuff, that you're on the stage with those guys and you're like, wait a minute, it all came together and this is exactly the way it should be? Have you had that moment?
Yeah, I think selfishly, it's where I feel the most at home. Like, I'm not great with people. I love people a lot, but I don't really understand them a lot of the time. I'm really bad with crowds. I'm anxious, but if they're all facing the same direction, and the social contract is I'm supposed to entertain them, I'm supposed to connect with them, I'm at home. It's what I do best.
Awesome. I'm curious. And this could, this is either directly or indirectly how it affected you, but who's been either your biggest inspiration or the person who's had the greatest impact on you and your career so far?
Like, I'm not sure I make it out of my teen years without Kurt Cobain, without Nirvana. For whatever reason, the frequencies of what he was doing just made me feel seen and understood, and I had a whole like shrine to him in my basement, and I thought he was the best singer in the world. I just wanted to be just like him. And when the Channel Orange record came out by Frank Ocean, I remember that sort of made me strive to want to be a better singer. I think Modest Mouse was really powerful for me in terms of like, and like, yeah, the Yeah Yeah Yeahs, and just these people who have so much heart to their approach, because that's certainly what I feel like I have to offer more than anything. I think Bowie as well, I think, is like an incredible roadmap of creativity to follow. I learned how to sing falsetto, which is a big part of our sound, by singing along to Radiohead records. I don't know, man. I'm completely consumed by music, so it's hard to pick.
It's okay. I mean, I totally understand where you're coming from. I mean, it's incredible now more than I think ever in the last 20 some odd years, that it used to be, to find an artist took a lot of time, effort, and energy to get their music in your hands. If you didn't, if you heard it on the radio, but had to actually acquire it, especially if it was from overseas, took forever. So I think it's great that you've found these influences that are readily available to help have an impact on you. So I think that's great. I think that's great. It's so much easier when you have access. Back in the day, it was, you'd wait 3, 4, 5 weeks for something to ship over so you could put it on a turntable and listen to it. So,
I think that's cool, though. I think that there's something about that like is committed, where so it comes in and you go like, I've been waiting for this thing for 5 weeks, as you said. So it's like, I'm gonna listen to the whole thing and I'm gonna pay attention, and there's a value for it that is it's a bit of a different thing.
I mean, it used to be a world where we really invested our time in our music.
Yeah.
Right. You listen to something front to back. You didn't have shuffle, things like that. You'd wear a tape out by rewinding it all the time. And the transformation of technology put us in a different listening mode for a lot of people. And I think that those who are really dedicated to having music in their life, having it something that engulfs them on a constant basis, it's a different experience, right? And you invest your time in the things that matter, that when you sit down and okay, I'm going to listen to this, I'm going to really focus on it. It's a different thing than it's just the background and it's just happening around you. So, and I'm happy and sad because of the state of music these days, right? It used to be something that was so, you would wait and you're like, oh my God, I've got the holy grail here. I've been waiting for this. And wait a minute, are you telling me there's an unreleased track on this thing and all this other stuff? And there was that experience that is transformed. And is it the best? I don't know. We have people who have grown up in a different way to listen and to ingest their art. And then, the bands that you mentioned as influences are so diverse. I think it says a lot about you as well. So you obviously had that investment. I'm curious about, you've got the tour.
Mm-hmm.
So with the tour comes the end of the year.
Yeah.
What's happening? You guys get off the road. Are you going back in the studio? Do you have another album prepared? You can take some time off? When can we expect some more activity from you?
I think in a perfect world, we'd get back on the road, but go do the UK, because our last time headlining the UK, and I'd love to do Europe as well. Our last time headlining the UK was last September, October. So they've been pretty keen on getting us back, and so have we. So probably be that. I'm trying to write in terms of a follow-up to Pity Party. So getting in the studio would be awesome. I don't know. It's just sort of at this point, music is such a big part of my life, that really a day doesn't go by where I'm not doing something to do with Hotel Mira, which is unbelievable because there has been so much time in my life where I really thought I'd never get to do it again, or there wouldn't be any interest. A cool thing happened when everything was tanking, where I was talking to my therapist, and he was like, you bring up success and making it constantly. And he was like, and things weren't going well, and they weren't going well for me as an actor either. And I was dealing with like some of the worst times of my life, sort of personally. And he was like, what happens if you like don't make it? And I was like, man, I don't even want to look at it. And he was like, well, break down what you like about it for me. And I was like, explaining playing live and what it's like to have to write songs and then release them and have an audience and whatever. And then he sort of went, so from what I'm hearing, you get in a van and you go to a city where you know nobody with a couple of your best friends, and then you play this music that people really connect to, and then you get back in the van and go somewhere else, and that sort of like ritual is like this really fun adventure for you. And he was sort of like, nobody needs to understand why you like that. Nobody needs to understand why that gives you joy. Like if that's all it winds up being, it's a complete spiritual success, because it's something in your life that gives you purpose and joy that's actually not only do people not have to understand it, it's almost more powerful if they don't, because then it's something that truly just fuels you and isn't really impacted by public opinion. And
I mean, there needs to be that mystery, right? There needs to be a little bit of that sense of mystery in your story. We can't, I mean, you've got to hold some things. I mean, I understand very well kind of the situation you're talking about. And, I do my fair share of therapy and thinking about the world around me and what my story is and what I mean to others and what I mean to myself. And I think a lot of times we forget that we have to mean something to ourselves before we can mean something to others. So I think that it's great that you got to that point to see that, because that keeps the fuel in the engine burning.
Yeah, I think that it just allowed me to loosen my grip and sort of embrace some pretty contradictory thoughts, like this music thing that I think in a lot of ways exists as a desire for validation, as a desire to be understood, um, um, at its best, I should be approaching it in a way where it's going well when I'm being misunderstood and I'm not being validated, because the falling back on I'm just a freak who loves these things is the main way I think I'm gonna be able to maintain a career and joy in the first place.
Right.
Like me and my boys getting in that van, playing for whoever's there, and being satisfied in that is how we got here, and like checking in with a gut feeling for every song I wrote. This is cool. This isn't. So far so good.
Here's what I would like to do, and I've never done this before, so this is all new.
Okay.
Once you get off the road, as you're starting to formulate the next album, I would love to have you and the whole band on to talk about that road experience and kind of walk everybody through what that new creation process is and where it's coming from. If you'd be willing to do that, it'll probably be pretty raw, but I think that for people who know your music or people getting to know you, have seen you, I think it's going to give them some great insight and it allow them to understand all that you've been talking about. Would you be open to doing that?
Oh yeah, that sounds amazing. I would love that.
All right. We're going to do that. As we kind of turn the corner home on our conversation today, there are a couple things that I like to hit on. One is, I'm not a bucket list kind of person. I just go out and do stuff. It's my life, right? But if you had an opportunity to have one dream collaboration with an artist, you get to spend a day in a studio, you can sit and just have tea, you can create together, you can learn from one another. Who would that artist be and why?
So maybe I can get them at the same time. Because I thought about this, and I think sort of musically and just how much I think it would be a great collaboration, I want to go with Annie Clark, St. Vincent. I think she's the best guitar player in the world. No shade to my guitar player, Clark. I just think she is so special, just sort of a once-in-a-lifetime talent. So I want to work with her. But when you mentioned getting tea with someone and chopping it up, Nick Cave.
Dude, those are two great choices. And by the way, did I mention? Do you know where I'm coming from? Like physically, where I am right now?
No.
Well, you mentioned St. Vincent. I'm in Dallas, Texas.
Oh, amazing.
Maybe we can make something happen. Let me look into that for you. I photographed her opening a show a couple of years ago. She's incredible. She's a Dallas treasure. And you've had, those are two artists that, man, if you could get both of them in a room, that'd be unbelievable.
Yeah, I might just shut the fuck up. I might just let them go.
So we believe in sharing around here. And one of the things about sharing with others is growing their taste in music, growing and understanding your taste in music. But what's most important is there is no way that Hotel Mira is going to go on a US or European or UK tour with the money that they get from Spotify. If they're lucky, they get about a gallon of gas. So that's not going to take them there. So as everybody knows who watches us, it's so important. I want you to go and support this band. The links below will get you to their music. Go buy tickets, go buy merch, support them, show them that you appreciate the art that they create, because art isn't free. Art comes at a cost to the artist, whether you think that it's a monetary or emotional or physical cost. And owning someone's art it's a great pleasure of life. So please go out and support them. With that, I always want to know who are a couple, maybe a few artists that you're listening to that you're really enjoying right now. Doesn't have to be a modern artist. It could be someone older. It could be the band around the corner. But who are three that you're like, I'm really digging this because I work out to them, I walk to them, meditate, whatever. That if we were just sitting here having a beer, you'd go like, dude, you really got to listen to this.
Kylie V, I think from Vancouver, is a non-binary singer-songwriter who is simply like breathtakingly talented, wise beyond their years, and sort of criminally underrated. Like, they have done some amazing things. They've played KEXP session. They've put out records. They've toured a bit, but I think they're like 20 now or 19 or something, and just remarkable. So I'm always trying to put people onto to Kylie's music. Who else comes to mind? Devours, also from Vancouver, makes this incredible mix of like pop music with really thought-provoking, interesting lyrics, and there's like an industrial element, and the visuals that Devours comes up with are pretty remarkable. And again, there's just sort of nothing like that. Very, very unique.
You mind if I give you one?
Yeah.
All right. So you're in LA, right?
Yeah.
So if you get a chance to see Witches Ride, they were at Punk Rock Bowling this year. They released their album in June. They are an LA-based band. It's a little more on the goth kind of dramatic hard rock side.
I'm into that.
Definitely go see them. And there's a band, Foreclosure, that's playing around the LA area with Giz Laszlo, who has played in, I don't know, every band, from LA Slumlords to you name it. He's a great guy. And he's got shows out in the LA area. And then Sharif Dumani, who's out there, who, if you get a chance to see him in the Exploding Flowers, definitely worth checking out. So
my favorite song a couple of years ago was by a band called Sun June out of Austin. Mm-hmm. They have a song called Bad with Time that I think both lyrically and musically is just it's just sort of like you could put it up against huge hits, and I think it's like should be uttered in the same sort of like caliber as like a God Only Knows, or like or like A Lover You Should Have Come Over by Jeff Buckley. I do think it's that good.
All right, wow. All right, look, we could probably go on for hours. If you're gonna go down the Jeff Buckley path, we could probably do this for hours. We're gonna do this again, my friend, for sure. We're gonna do this again. We're gonna get the whole band on, and we'll all be chatting it up. Hey, everybody, you've got to go out, check out Hotel Mira. They're going on tour. Buy their merch, buy the tickets, buy their music, support them as we ask you to do for all the artists that we hang with. Charlie, this has been amazing getting to know you. I can't wait to do this again.
I'm so glad you got a kick out of it, man. Let me know what you think of the Pity Party record. We're really proud of it.
Will do. Absolutely. Everybody, thanks for hanging with us today. Charlie, all the best on tour, and we look forward to hanging again soon.
Thanks, man.
Take it easy. Bye.
Peace.